Hey there YouTube, I'm Bubbins, and on Monday the latest Moogle treasure trove is going live, and will run until the release of patch 6.4 sometime next month. That means it's time, once again, to figure out which items you want to grind for, and which aren't worth your time. Other YouTubers have already released videos running through every single reward and basically just explaining how everything works. But I wanted to get to the crux of the issue that everyone has, which is how do I not waste my time? These events are grindy, and I can only run these dungeons and raids so many times before my eyes glaze over, fall out of my head, and the Ishgardian Orthodox Church comes along and steals them. So basically, I wanted to break down every reward into one of 3 or 4 categories. Items that are worth grinding for, items that you're better off earning in another way, and items that you can just purchase from the market board instead. I'll also preview things as I go along, obviously, but let's dive in. Every item in this section is something you should consider grinding tomestones for, either because it'll save you a ton of time, money, or it's exclusive. Let's start with the Marquee Prize. Earrings are frequently the most expensive item when it comes to Moogle treasure troves, and Mendacity is no exception. If you're a fan of collecting earrings, by all means, take the time to grind out 100 tomestones just for this. But as a whole, I almost always skip these. You can consider grabbing them if you already have almost everything else though. How much do you value earrings? Completely up to you. The next item worth your time is the MacLeod horn, at least if the price doesn't completely crash during the next month or so. 600 to 800,000 gil is probably too expensive for a lot of folks, and the 8,400 Skybuilder scripts to purchase it is a big grind if your crafting classes aren't leveled. So keep an eye on the price to see if it drops low enough for you to consider purchasing it, but I don't think you can go wrong spending 50 tomestones on this mount. While you're at it, the Magitech Predator Identification Key may be worth a look as well. While you can 100% grind the level 70 Alamigo dungeon unsynced to get this, it can take like 30 to 100 runs to get a single drop, and even unsynced the dungeon takes about 10 minutes to complete, so if you want to save like 5 to 15 hours, it's probably worth grinding for. Again, the price of the Gear Abanian plate hairstyle may come down a bit, but this one is starting at a much higher level with an average selling price of 1,600,000 gil. It drops only from silver sacks in Heaven on High, so grinding it isn't super fun for a lot of people. Do note, however, that it cannot be worn by Viera or Hrothgar. Big womp. I personally think spending 50 tomestones to save 1,000,000 gil is worth it though. The Emphatic Elucidation emote is right on the line where I consider it to be worth grinding for. 30 tomestones isn't a ton, but it is still a grind, and one that will only save you about 200,000 gil, unless the price drops like I said. It normally costs 1,800 Skybuilder scripts in the Firmament, which again isn't a ton, but still requires somewhat of a grind. In short, it's not a waste to spend tomestones on, but it's not the best thing to buy here. Getting to some of the cheaper items, when it comes to triple triad cards, my outlook is always the same. If you collect them, and they're normally hidden behind RNG, it's usually worth spending the 7 to 10 tomestones to add them to your collection. Because of this, I think it's worth snagging the Byakko and Prometheus cards. I personally don't think grinding 500 allied seals is too challenging if you join a Discord server with the S and A rank hunt alerts, but at 7 tomestones you're also fine to just buy the wind-up succubus. Next, we have some items that you can just purchase on the market board for prices that are cheap enough to consider instead of grinding. Personally, I think you're free to skip the Along Fall Orchestrion roll. It runs for only 90,000 gil now, and it's only going to get cheaper. Not really worth 50 Tomestones. I personally think all furniture items almost always fall into the items to buy category. This time around, everything costs less than 30,000 gil, and is in no way worth 20 Tomestones each. Most items cost less than 1,000. It's like pocket change. Just go and buy them if you want them. There is also a minion that you can buy with gil. The Black Hayate minion usually sells for about 50,000, but prices have already started to drop with the incoming surplus. Grab it for 20 to 30k and save yourself a dungeon run or two. Now comes the items you should just go grind the way you're supposed to earn them. I would recommend against spending 50 Tomestones on the Ixion mount. The way this mount is earned is through the A Horse Outside Fate, which you can passively find by joining the aforementioned Discord servers, which have alerts for this type of thing. You only need to complete the fate twice to have enough horns to purchase the mount, so why spend hours grinding 50 Tomestones for this when you can easily just show up for 2 fates and get the reward that way. When it comes to the Beast Tribe mounts, minions, and triple triad cards, I almost always recommend using Tomestones unless you have nothing better to buy. There's no RNG involved in their systems, and it's not like the Beast Tribe level ups are difficult or anything. It just takes some time every day for about 2 weeks, level them up, and then you can just buy the rewards. One of the biggest mistakes I made early on in my Final Fantasy XIV career was spending 30 Tomestones on a Lanner Whistle. Don't ever buy a Lanner or one of the horse mounts. You can easily run those extreme trials unsynced with your level 90 character over and over until the mount drops. The drop rate isn't all that low, and you can usually get them within about 10 tries. The dogs, however, are a little more difficult because they're from Stormblood, so the level of the trials isn't as low, but they're still super easy to do with just a friend or two. When it comes to the dungeon gear, if you're really hurting for those drops, just run the dungeon with that class, but I personally think you're better off spending that on other things. The final section are items that you could just skip entirely. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but when it comes to these events, I want guaranteed tangible rewards. I'm really not one to purchase the ostensibly special Time Worn maps. I'm also not one to purchase the MGP Platinum cards, given the much rarer rewards that are available. And my last word of advice is to skip the Lenosha riding maps. These only affect ground speed, not flying speed, which makes them useless for most players. And that's the list. I hope that's actually useful in helping you determine what to grind for in the next month rather than just showing you what you could possibly get. I wanted to make it, useful in some way. And for the usual message, please make sure to leave a like or subscribe. As a small and growing channel, it really does make a ton of a difference to me. And if you want to directly support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below. Or you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. For now, though, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.